Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to a tackle tip moment here with Brett and Devin, and we're just going to go over everything you need for a dunking setup. So the first thing we need is a fishing pole. This right here is a two-piece fishing pole, so it connects at this end to the upper end. You're going to need a fishing reel with line. Braid is nice. You're also going to need a sand stake or rock stake just to get your fishing pole set up right here so it holds in place. Attached to your fishing pole is going to be a bell so you know when your fishing pole goes off. Other things that you're going to need are your tackle box, along with all the tackle that you're going to need, hooks and leads and all of those great things. We'll get into that. You're going to need fishing line for both your lead and your hook. And then the rest of it, good set of pliers to cut line. If not, scissors will do. Light if you're going fishing at night. Definitely going to want a tape measure so you stay compliant to regulations, as well as some gloves. And these gloves are neoprene on one side, so they're you're not gonna get caught on the fish or anything like that that might be sharp. And that's about it. Bait.
And bait.
You're gonna need bait. But right now we'll get into more in-depth on how to set this up. So we'll be right back.
What's up guys? So today we're basically going to go over a dunking setup for light small game like papio, tolaos, oeos. We're not really targeting uluas or anything like that. This is basically a very basic way of how to set up a pole. Okay. So we have our dunking rod here. This is a spinning rod, okay, right here, and this is about 9 feet long. We like the longer poles because you're able to cast a lot farther, and it's really going to help you get your line out there. This is a medium heavy. Typically, if you're targeting bigger stuff, you want a little heavier rod. So medium heavy to heavy would be okay. You know. Spinning reels, the short reel right here, it's more flexible, smaller reel. You can use it, but it's really not going to help you much if you were to accidentally hook onto that 4 or 5 pound papio. Okay.
So what size fish would you actually be targeting? Like how many pounds?
So I mean, it varies. You can target 1 to 2 pound tolaos, you know, or eels. Like I said, those 4 or 5 pounder papios. Probably if you hook on to ulua, you'll be in a run for your money though. So you can still bring it in, but today's setup is a little bit lighter dunking setup, you know, for the reef fish, smaller game. Okay. So first thing first, this is your 2-piece dunking rod. Okay. There are 1-piece dunking rods, you know, but it's hard to put a 9-foot pole in an average car, so that's why we got a 2-piece. Okay. So therefore we have to attach the 2 pieces connected together. It's should be pretty common sense, but here it is. We're connecting it together, and you want to line the eyes together. You know, kind of line them up. All right.
So how do you know that the pole is in place good?
I don't know. You just kind of. I don't know.
It's just a tight fit.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight fit.
Okay, so it shouldn't be moving around.
No, it shouldn't be moving around.
Okay.
Just kind of twist it down all the way. I mean, that's how I do it. I don't know. I'm sure there's other ways to really dial it down, but I just make sure it's fully down. Oh, one note is sometimes if there's sand in here, you're gonna have a harder time putting it in. So make sure you rinse out your pole if there is sand, because you're not going to be able to get it in all the way.
Always rinse down your poles after.
Especially in salt water. Yeah. But basically, now we're going to talk about connecting the reel to the pole. So here's the reel, just a basic generic old reel here. And you see this end right here. This end we're gonna fit into the pole, and where the line is on this spinning reel, this should be facing upwards. So if you look here, the reel is gonna slip in. Okay, and once you got that reel nice and really good, you're gonna twist this knob down here to the right, righty-tighty. So we're gonna tighten it down all the way. And these are one of those things, I mean, you gotta kind of use your common sense. Okay, if you tighten it down too hard, you have a hard time, you know, loosening it if you have to remove it, especially if there's some silt or sand inside. So, I mean, just tighten it so you can't really tighten, you know, hand tighten it. Okay, don't torque it down with a wrench or anything like that. Okay. And once we have a reel in a rod, okay, next we have to string our line. Okay. Now it's going to be kind of hard to see, but here's our line on our reel, and we're going to string it underneath the bail. This is the bail right here. It's going to be down. You want to string it under, not over, under, through this little area here. Okay? And then you just string it through the eyes of the pole.
So how do you know exactly that you've done it the correct way?
Well, in terms of stringing the line or what, like, so if you string your line over, I mean,
you should be able to pull it nicely as you just did.
Yeah, you're going to be utilizing the drag on it. You know, it's not.
You'll hear that clicking noise. It'll come through that bearing area.
Also, since you're on the reel, can you talk about the drag and which way you're supposed to rotate the handle?
Oh yeah. So basic, you know, reels 101. You know, if you've never used these before, this is a spinning reel, and the spinning reel, you know, in fact, all reels actually allow you to tighten or loosen the drag. Okay. You don't want the drag too loose or too tight when you're
What is drag?
Drag is basically the amount of force needed before line actually comes out. So in other words, if you tighten down the drag all the way theoretically, you know, if I tighten it down so I can't tighten anymore, when I pull, you're not really going to be pulling all the line out because it's tightened down. You tighten your drag. But if you loosen it, so it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, same as always, right? Universal concepts here. If you loosen it down all the way, you can put very little force and the reel will start peeling out line like so.
So when you're putting your setup together, how tight should your drag be?
That just comes with experience and fighting the fish, right? And it's pretty complicated. I mean, if you're using lighter line, obviously you can't.
Well, that's when you're fishing, but when you're setting up your rod.
I mean, when you're setting up the rod, you know, I just kind of make it on the looser side so that I can easily pull it through the ice. Yeah, you don't want it tight or you're going to be struggling. You know. Yeah, so to tighten, you tighten this little crank, you know, to the right. Most of the spinning reels have it up here. Some I see down here, but it depends on the reel. You might have to read the instructions, but for the most part, righty-tighty, you're tightening your drag down. Lefty-loosey, you're loosening your drag down.
So I notice you're reeling in line.
Yeah.
Could you explain which way to reel in line?
Yeah, so I mean, for the most part, you're reeling, I don't know what direction it's
counterclockwise?
I don't know, it's reversed on the camera. I don't. For me, it's clockwise, but for the camera, it's probably counter. Yeah, but anyway. Like this. You don't want to be reeling, you want to be reeling away from you, essentially, right? You don't want to be reeling towards you. You want to be reeling away from you.
So what happens if you reel towards you?
This pretty much loosens this lever here, or the handle, and then depending on the reel, you might, you know, you're probably going to unscrew this handle here.
But for the most part, if you put pressure the opposite way, it'll stop.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, unless you really, really you can break the reel actually if you just really yank it towards you. But
So I noticed that some reels have a small lever in the back of their reel.
what lever?
That one might not.
Oh,
Some-
anti-reverse right there. Anti-reverse.
Oh, okay. So this kind of, yeah. So if you put it on this, which I don't know why anyone would, I know, yeah, you can reel backwards, but you're not really.
So if you're able to reel backwards freely, flip the switch.
like this.
If that's happening, flip the switch. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Just I don't even know why the reels. To be honest, if anyone knows why they even have a reverse function on the reel. Does anyone know why? Like what?
When you bird nest.
Oh, is that why?
Oh,
Oh, okay. But you bird nest, it's hard to. Yeah. So the key takeaway, things from here is line underneath the bail, right? Underneath the bail. When you're tightening the drag, move it. Tighten it to the right. When you're loosen to the left, and when you're stringing the line through the eyes of the pole, it's probably best to have a looser drag just because it makes life so much easier on you. Yeah. So that's kind of just the real basics,
Great tackle tip. Do not miss any of the eyes, or you will be very sorry.
Or make sure you're stringing it through the eyes, not through the eyes and wrap the rod tip or something. I've done that. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Brett. Now that we have the basic setup of the reel, we can get into, well, what do you do once you have it strung through all the eyes? So we'll be right back with Brett.